So we're continuing in Ezekiel 27 and 28 today, and the focus remains on Tyre. Now, that might seem a strange name to us. It's the centre of a business empire on the coast, a very, very wealthy city, very influential. The trade that went through there was huge. You can perhaps think of some of the big port cities like Liverpool in the UK in their heyday. You think perhaps now of London as a financial capital of the world. That's the kind of influence, the kind of place that we're talking about. It's a pagan place. As we saw yesterday, it's a place that has taken advantage of the weakness of God's people. But the emphasis today is very much on the bringing down of this superpower and a bringing to nothing of it. And watch out for the way in which in chapter 28 it almost morphs into the prince of Tyre almost being demonic, satanic, almost being Satan himself, and just helps us to see some of the themes that we pull out in Revelation later on with the fall of Babylon. Clearly Babylon is gone, long gone by the time of Revelation, but this sense of the world superpowers that are opposed to God and his people, which have a satanic influence because of that, because they're godless. And it helps us to see something of the frailty then of the world around us that we think feels so secure in its arrogance against God. Let's read with those thoughts in mind. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, take up a lament concerning Tyre. Say to Tyre, situated at the gateway to the sea, merchant of the peoples of many coasts, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You say, Tyre, I am perfect in beauty. Your domain was on the high seas, your builders brought your beauty to perfection. They made all your timbers of juniper from Senia. They took a cedar from Lebanon to make a mast for you. Of oaks from Bashan they make your oars, of cypress wood from the coast of Cyprus they make your deck, adorned with ivory. Fine embroidered linen from Egypt was your sail, and served as your banner. Your awnings were of blue and purple from the coast of Elisha. Men of Sidon and Arvad were your oarsmen. Your skilled men, Tyre, were aboard as your sailors. Veteran craftsmen of Byblos were on board as shipwrights to caulk your seams. All the ships of the sea and their sailors came alongside to trade for your wares. Men of Persia, Lydia, and Put served as soldiers in your army. They hung their shields and helmets on your walls, bringing you splendour. Men of Arvad and Helek guarded your walls on every side. Men of Gamad were in your towers. They hung their shields around your walls. They brought your beauty to perfection. Tarshish did business with you because of your great wealth of goods. They exchanged silver, iron, tin, and lead for your merchandise. Greece, Tubal, and Meshech did business with you. They traded human beings and articles of bronze for your wares. Men of Beth Togarmah exchanged chariot horses, cavalry horses, and mules for your merchandise. The men of Rhodes traded with you, and many coastlands were your customers. They paid you with ivory tusks and ebony. Aram did business with you because of your many products. They exchanged turquoise, purple fabric, embroidered work, fine linen, coral, and rubies for your merchandise. Judah and Israel traded with you. They exchanged wheat from Minnith, and confections, honey, olive oil, and balm for your wares. Damascus did business with you because of your many products and great wealth of goods. They offered wine from Helbon, wool from Zahar, and casks of wine from Izal in exchange for your wares. Wrought iron cassia and calamus. Dedan traded in saddle blankets with you. Arabia and all the princes of Kedar were your customers. They did business with you in lambs, rams, and goats. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah traded with you for your merchandise. They exchanged the finest of all kinds of spices and precious stores and gold. Haran, Caneh, and Eden, and merchants of Sheba, Asher, and Kilmad traded with you. In your marketplace they traded with you beautiful garments, blue fabric, embroidered work, and multicoloured rugs with cords twisted and tightly knotted. The ships of Tarshish serve as carriers for your wares. You are filled with heavy cargo as you sail the sea. Your oarsmen take you out to the high seas. But the east wind will break you to pieces, far out at sea. Just pause there before we see the crash. There's 24 verses describing what Tyre proclaimed of itself, that it was beautiful. They were perfect in their beauty, Here is this great wealth and this great network of trading and all these goods and possessions, and Tyre at the heart of it, and so wealthy, and in their own eyes beauty, and they're perfect in their beauty. But what happens? The east wind will break you to pieces far out to sea. Your wealth, merchandise and wares, your mariners, sailors and shipwrights, your merchants and all your soldiers and everywhere else on board will sink into the heart of the sea on the day of your shipwreck. The shorelands will quake when your sailors cry out. All who handle the oars will abandon their ships. The mariners and all the sailors will stand on the shore. They will raise their voice and cry bitterly over you. They will sprinkle dust on their heads and roll in ashes. They will shave their heads because of you and will put on sackcloth. They will weep over you with anguish of soul and with bitter mourning. As they wail and mourn over you, they will take up a lament concerning you. Who was ever silenced like Tyre, surrounded by the sea? When your merchandise went out on the seas, you satisfied many nations. With your great wealth and your wares, you enriched the kings of the earth. Now you are shattered by the sea in the depths of the waters. Your wares and all your company have gone down with you. All who live in the coastlands are appalled at you. Their kings shudder with horror, and their faces are distorted with fear. The merchants among the nations scoff at you. You have come to a horrible end and will be no more. Self-proclaimed, perfect in its beauty, and now crushed to nothing. And we've never heard of Tyre, and we know nothing of it. It is long forgotten. A reminder of the passing wealth of this world and its empires. Let's read on. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, say to the ruler of Tyre, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In the pride of your heart you say, I am a god. I sit on the throne of a god in the heart of the seas, but you are a mere mortal and not a god, though you think you are as wise as a god. Are you wiser than Daniel? Is no secret hidden from you? By your wisdom and understanding you have gained wealth for yourself and amassed gold and silver in your treasuries. But by your great skill in trading you have increased your wealth, and because of your wealth your heart has grown proud. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Because you think you are wise as a god, I am going to bring foreigners against you, the most ruthless of nations. They will draw their swords against your beauty and wisdom and pierce your shining splendour. They will bring you down to the pit, and you will die a violent death in the heart of the seas. Will you then say, I am a god, in the presence of those who kill you? You will be but a mortal, not a god, in the hands of those who slay you. You will die the death of the uncircumcised at the hands of foreigners. I have spoken, declares the sovereign Lord. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, take up a lament concerning the king of Tyre, and say to him, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you, carnelian, chrysolite and emerald, topaz, onyx and jasper, lapis lazuli, turquoise and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created, till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade you were filled with violence, and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God, and expelled you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendour. So I threw you to the earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings. By your many sins and dishonest trade you have desecrated your sanctuaries. So I made a fire come out from you, and it consumed you, and I reduced you to ashes on the ground in the sight of all who were watching. All the nations who knew you are appalled at you. You have come to a horrible end and will be no more. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, set your face against Sidon, prophesy against her, and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Sidon, and among you I will display my glory. You will know that I am the Lord when I inflict punishment on you, and within you am proved to be holy. I will send a plague upon you, and make blood flow in your streets. The slain will fall within you, with a sword against you on every side. Then you will know that I am the Lord. No longer will the people of Israel have malicious neighbours who are painful briars and sharp thorns. Then they will know that I am the sovereign Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says, when I gather the people of Israel from the nations where they have been scattered, I will be proved holy through them in the sight of the nations. Then they will gather in their own land, which I gave to my servant Jacob. They will live there in safety and will build houses and plant vineyards. They will live in safety when I inflict punishment on all their neighbours who malign them. Then they will know that I am their God. So as God begins addressing the king of Tyre for his pride and the fall that's going to come, the language almost morphs into speaking of one who seems to be Satan, an angel, perfect in his beauty, but now fallen, cast out of heaven to the earth. There's this crossover between the two, and I guess as you follow the Bible story through, you see that there is this link between the consistent story of pride and self-exaltedness being opposed by God because it's wrong and evil, and God bringing it down to the earth. And it happened to Satan, happens to every kingdom that it set itself up. It ultimately will happen to every human being who resists God's righteous rule. And yet right at the end, there is this wonderful promise that for Israel, one day all these neighbours that have been opposed to them and have taken advantage of them when they've been conquered by Babylon are going to be dealt with, and they'll be at peace, that there'll be no threat from outside, and that they'll be drawn back from the nations where they've gone into exile. Now that happened in part. Israel did come back, but it weren't in permanent safety. By the time we get to the New Testament, they've been overrun by Rome. But there is a picture here as we have gone from Israel to Satan, as it were. We can now go forward to Christ and his kingdom, and one day there is coming a new world, a new creation, where God's people will be drawn out from the nations, from the four corners of the earth, gathered by the angels, as we're told in the New Testament parables, safely home forever with no threat from outside. And all those who have set themselves up in opposition to God will be judged and cast out. It's an important encouragement for those of us who are believers today, going out into a world which is hostile to God, which is an uncomfortable place often for us as Christians. We can have confidence that it will not always be so, and even what seems so secure and magnificent and perfect in its strength and beauty will not last. Only those who are in Christ. Let those thoughts echo in your mind as you go into today.